Hey, this is your girl Michelle.
And it's girl Mariah, also known as Mariah Amazing.
And you are tuned in to Melanin Voices. Hey.
Hi, everybody. So today we're going to open up with Melanin Voices, Melanin Media, which is going to be starting off with Philandro Castile and his verdict of, the jury decided to acquit the cop that killed him. And, it's just a very sad time because once again we see that the system seems to fail us. Us by meaning black people seems to keep failing us over and over again, and so it's just very heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was really heartbreaking to see that, and I watched his mother's interview, and she just really brought to light, like, we watched the video, they seen it, and that still wasn't enough. So, and my question always is like, how do we protect our boys, our sons? How do we teach them to protect their bodies?
Right.
And we talk about, being the most educated, going to college, getting a degree, be the best person you could be, try to get a good job. But then at the end of the day, even if you have all of these qualities, being a black man or just having black skin, you're still liable for your life to be taken regardless. And it's sad, but it's reality at this point, and hopefully we see some change. It was really sad to see that.
It really was, and I think it's super traumatic for us as black people to keep seeing dead bodies all over social media. So there's that portion of it as well. But also moving right along, the rapper Prodigy passed away yesterday, which is very sad because he is such a legend and very influential. Mobb Deep was and still is one of the best rap groups ever in hip-hop history. So for him to pass away was very heartbreaking. You've seen like a lot of celebrities posting about it. Nas posted something about it, and a lot of other celebrities posted about how heartbroken they were about his passing. So that happened too.
Yeah, that was sad. We have so much sad Melanin Media, but today, which makes me sad. But yeah, it was really sad to hear that. I did hear some criticism on it took him to pass away for the hip hop culture to celebrate him, and hopefully people start celebrating more of the hip hop icons that we have, and not wait until they're no longer here to make a big deal or play his music or talk about some of the crafts he was working on. So sad. Melanin Media is sad today.
Yeah, too bad. Because I didn't even know about his tour because he actually was rushed to the hospital while he was in his tour in Las Vegas. And I didn't even know about his tour, so I think you're kind of right on that. I didn't even know anything about it. But yes, moving on. Michelle wanted to talk about the movie All Eyes on Me. Michelle didn't see it, but I did see it, and I guess I'll give a review. Cause I did, before I went to go see it, I did see a bad review. Jada Pinkett Smith basically said how she was kind of hurt behind it because there was a lot of scenes that were depicted the wrong way. It actually never really happened, and she was just hurt by the betrayal of this whole movie, actually. And I kind of wanted to see it for myself because I've seen that review and a lot of other bad reviews about it. And I did go see it for myself, and I can actually say that this ain't going to be a great review of it. But overall, I would just say the movie wasn't what I expected it to be. I feel like they had the resources to do more research and to dive deeper and get more detail about his life story, and it just wasn't done properly. I think it was very rushed. It looks very rushed, like they didn't really put too much thought behind it. So I don't know why they would do that because Pac is such a legend and so influential that I just feel like there should have been more detail and just, I don't know. I feel like it should have been portrayed that they cared a little bit more about his story, but that's just me. That's the kind of, that's what I left with.
Well, I'm going to attempt to go see it maybe when it comes out on Netflix. Like, let me stop. I heard...
Stop, please.
I did hear that the actor did a really good job of playing Tupac, but that's from one person's review. And also, what's my other thing? that maybe the writers pay too much attention to trying to find actors that look too much alike. I mean, too much alike the actual real characters, and didn't spend enough time actually gathering up some solid material. Like, if you're gonna do Tupac, you need to get some real research before you put a movie out in theaters.
Right. All I'm saying.
So maybe it sucks, but it's like you only get one chance, and they kind of sounds like they blew it. So it's like, how do we come back from that? Was Notorious better, Mariah? Right. I like Notorious movie.
I like Notorious. I didn't leave the movie feeling like, oh my god, this is so terrible. I actually liked it, so I'm gonna say it was better. It was better. Like I've said, like the graphics, the images were like amazing. Like it was such great quality, but as far as like the actual like how it was portrayed, it wasn't great quality. If that makes any sense, like the actual visuals were nice looking, and but no, I wouldn't go see the movie again at all. Actually, I feel like the New Edition movie that was like perfect, and obviously the people from New Edition were able to like help the actual actors like say, this is me, this is what I was, this is how I acted. Kind of portray that Pac isn't here to say who he was or help them along. So obviously there's a different thing behind that. I get it, but I just feel like there's so many people that were close to Pac that are still living on Earth today that they could have gotten material from. They didn't, because if they did, it wouldn't come out that way.
Exactly, or the real stories would have came to light, or the details of stories, basically.
Right.
All right. So that was the last one, right, Mariah?
Yeah, that was all for Melanin Media today.
So let's go ahead and dive into the hot button topic. Woo! I'm excited.
Yeah.
This topic is something that has been requested, so I did take it into consideration, and our hot button topic is on emotional intelligence. So today's podcast is really going to be about actual resources and facts, because I'm not too close familiar with emotional intelligence, but as I was reading on it, it made me question a lot of things that we as human beings, the skills that we need to be successful, because it determines a lot. It's like a real great guide to our decision making. So let me go ahead and get started with just a definition, and then Mariah and I will go through a few questions that emotional intelligence, like that you're asked on job interviews, or questions that can help you decide kind of what kind of IQ you have. And we also took an IQ test, so we're going to talk about that today too. So we can talk about what IQ score or emotional intelligence score we got. And so let's get started. So emotional intelligence is marked by a person's ability to recognize and understand emotions, both his or her own and those of others. And to use that information to guide decision making, it includes demonstrating extremely complex qualities such as empathy, sympathy, and compassion. So, Mariah, what did you think about just doing the topic of emotional intelligence, or what first came to mind when we kind of decided to do that topic?
I was all on board for it, because Michelle gave me 3 options, and I was like, yep, I'm thinking I want to go with this one. So I was super on board for it, because I wasn't too familiar with it, like such as yourself. So I was like, wow, this is something I want to touch on, just so I can get more familiar with it and kind of seeing exactly how I move around in the world emotionally. I mean, I feel like I knew, and I feel like it hit it on the head once I took the test, but I wasn't for sure.
Right.
So I was excited.
Cool. So there are a few questions that we have asked ourselves, and also questions that have came up when I was even looking up, what questions determine how you make decisions based off your emotions. So there are five characteristics that we need to consider in our emotional intelligence. It's 1, self-awareness, 2, motivation, 3, empathy, 4, social skills, and 5, regulation. So my first question is to you, Mariah, what bothers you most about other people?
What bothers me most? What bothers me most about other people is their inability to care or have compassion for others. Like if I see somebody being extremely rude or very self-centered, I don't know, it kind of like turns me off about them. Maybe because I'm the complete opposite. So I hate to see people who are not compassionate or not even just super compassionate. Like, you don't gotta be nice, but you gotta be human sometimes and realize that people have feelings too. So the way that you move around or how you communicate with others definitely affects them. And for those who act like it doesn't affect other people, that annoys me the most about people. When they act like they have a don't care attitude. That makes me mad.
Anything else? Any other things that bother you?
That's my biggest one. That's my biggest one. I can't think of anything else at the moment.
Okay. It's funny because I seen, like, what bothers me about other people. And then I was thinking, like, everything bothers me about humans. Like,
right.
I just was thinking even when Jeff and I kind of get in confrontations or arguing, and I'm just I can be so easily bothered. You know, some people like hashtag like unbothered. I'm like bothered. Like, it bothers me that you're acting like this, or it bothers me that you're moving slow. It bothers me that you're just in my way. Like, everything bothers me.
So
I'm very impatient. So people who don't move quick or know what they want, then it just instantly lights a fire underneath me that drives me insane. And I have no idea why. I am this way, but one of the main reasons why I could live in New York City, put it that way. It's nice to be around people who are just as bothered with everything just like how I am. So it's just completely normal.
Perfect.
I'll get it. Yeah, I'm so in tune. I'm very in tune. But a big thing that bothers me about other people are liars. I think liars and people who have too many friends. That bothers me too. Like, something's just suspect about that to me. I don't know about you, but it's just, where's your loyalty? I think loyalty and loyalty is important, and liars I'm just easily bothered with those type of people. Other than that, I think I'm a pretty chill person. As long as you keep it 100 all the time and just don't lie. Just be honest. I'll take an honesty, like, I'll swallow up someone being completely honest with me than someone sitting there lying to my face. So I think that's what bothers me most about other people. But
okay, I can kind of feel like that. I feel like that I was like that too. When I seen like a lot of people hanging out with different groups, I'm like, why are they hanging out with all these people? Like, I understand now. I'm like, okay, I have my select friends, that I can call on a time of need, but I can also like mingle with other people. But I feel as though that's just because I have a personal attitude and a personal nature. But at the end of the day, I want to consider everyone to be my friend.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like those who call everyone their friends, kind of like, oh wow.
Yeah, how?
Is that what you're trying to say?
How are you talking about your friend to me? No, that's weird. Anyway, let's continue. Okay. And then my second question is, how important is apologizing to you and why?
Apologizing is everything to me, because I just feel like, to me, it shows me how strong you are. Because many people, they feel like when you apologize, you're weak because you're apologizing. But I feel like that's super strong, that you can actually identify a problem, an issue, something within yourself that was wrong at the time, and try to correct it. And for me, that means everything, because that means you're aware of your mistakes, and that means everything to me. Because personally, I like to apologize when I'm in the wrong. Now, it's not gonna be something so petty like, oh girl, I'm sorry, I stepped in your shoe, a couple months back. But it's something like, hey, I recognize that what I did hurt you, harmed you, and I'm sorry if that brought any wrongdoing to you. I did not mean that in any way, shape, or form. So I sincerely apologize. That's what I mean by an apology. If you see that it has hurt or harmed somebody, or you feel as though you wrongfully acted towards them, I feel like there's a need for an apology there, and I feel as though it's important to give it.
That's true. What about in a romantic relationship?
Apologies are willy-nilly. What about in romantic relationships? I apologize. I know that's a recent thing, because my old relationships, I didn't feel need to apologize. I'm like, you're wrong. You're wrong.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. You made me do that, so that's your fault. But now I'm like, no, Mariah, you're in control of your own emotions. You know what I mean? Like you okay, you can't control how they act to you, but you can control how you react. So you didn't need to do
Girl,
that.
That's your emotional intelligence right there. Did it come with Did it come with maturity, like with time, or kind of do you think like one day someone hit you over the head and you was like, you know what, like maybe I should be more mindful of it?
That came with maturity and time, baby, because I'm still working on it. But like, yes, definitely with time, because being immature, I'm like, well, no, I know I'm right, so whatever. Like, you should never act that way towards me, then I would never do that to you. So, oh well, that's your fault. But like, I was like, no, it's not their fault, because like, all they did that to they didn't know that would cause that reaction in you. So you think that they knew that they didn't know that would cause a reaction. So now that it did, you need to apologize because that wasn't right. You know what I mean? Or if you felt like they wrongfully did you should have said, hey, I don't like how you moved that way. I didn't appreciate that. You need to voice it versus thinking that they already know offhand that what they did was wrong to you, because what's wrong to you may be right to somebody else.
That's true.
Know. So
very true.
What about you, Michelle? You think that apologies are necessary?
I think they are necessary, but I am Miss Unapologetic. Like, put it that way. I don't apologize very much, and I only apologize if I'm very sincere in my apology. Now, people who apologize to me, I also take that serious as well, because don't apologize to me if you were A, being ignorant. B, don't apologize to me if you're going to do it again. Don't play me. I'm not stupid. Don't sit here. You sorry for being sorry, and you're going to be sorry all the time if you can keep apologizing and not, owning up to the fact that you maybe not going to change. Don't do it. But if you're genuinely, I want an apology if you try to, basically like you said earlier, like if you hurt me or you said something that can genuinely make me feel like my mental stability or my physical being, then yes, it's time. I do need an apology. Now, I'm not saying physical as in like my man hit me or something. He say sorry and I'm gonna be like, oh, it's okay. No. You get. I'm going after that. So that's what I'm saying about apologizing. But I think apologizing is important if it's sincere, and apologizing is as important as if you don't do it again. So that's just me. Other than that, I'm very unapologetic with me apologizing about certain things. I learned that I'm unapologetic about my blackness as a woman, and I've learned that people who find it to be something that makes them feel uncomfortable, I definitely refuse to apologize for just me being the woman that I am. Unless you have a valid reason for me to apologize to you, then I'm not going to apologize. But if you're ignorant, then I'm going to use that time to not apologize, but to educate you on the things that you could, so you don't do it again. Like that's what matters, is that you have self-awareness that this is something that you're not aware of, but do not apologize about it. Ask me to educate you so you're aware and you won't do it again. So this is a good way for you to self-regulate the next situation and have some kind of empathy towards other people before you apologize. So that's just, that's my thing, apologizing.
I can see that. I feel like how you feel, like, don't be just apologizing all willy-nilly. If you're going to apologize with the purpose.
Exactly.
I don't want to hear it all the time. Stop being sorry.
Exactly.
Unless you're truly sorry.
Right. I do want to talk a little bit more about just specifically, since we talked about apologizing, I want to talk about romantic relationships and how our emotional intelligence can help us kind of make better decisions in our relationships, or even if you're not even in a romantic relationship, or if you're dating someone, or if you are, I guess dating is a big one, because I have found that even some of my friends I speak with who are dating right now, they find themselves kind of being some kind of emotional during the communication stage of when they first start talking, if that makes sense. Like when you first text a dude and he might respond in a certain way that you are not used to, is like, how do you go about just having emotional intelligence and not running the person away? because you're not aware of maybe some of the things that you say or do. And this goes both ways for men and women. So I do want to kind of talk about it. I have about nine tips from mindbodygreen.com that talk about some of the things of before you kind of blow up on someone. So, Mariah, you have any examples? Have you ever blew up on someone emotionally and you didn't really mean it and you had to apologize?
Yeah.
Give me talk about it. Let me know.
I'm trying to think of a specific time that I can highlight. I mean, romantically, like if it could be something as simple as I wanted to go to this restaurant, and I'm like, no, I wanted to go to this restaurant, and why are you driving to this one? Oh, you want to go to that one? You didn't tell me that about that one. Like just random things I could just blow up. And I'm like, oh wow, that wasn't a need for that.
Right.
But
it's always a thing. I know for sure. Sometimes I have to, and I'm still learning in my marriage that I'm learning specific things that I did struggle with. So let me talk about the 9 things, and then we could talk more about them.
Please.
Yeah. So the 9 are, the first step is know thyself. So when it says know thyself, of course, that self-loving thing is a real thing before you get into a relationship. Knowing yourself is very important. 2, be open to feedback and criticism, which was my tough thing. I have a hard time with not being so defensive when I do get feedback or criticism. 3, identify your feelings at various points throughout the day. 4, try to practice mindfulness in all areas of your life. 5, breathe really, really deeply. 6, question your stories even if you believe them. 7, celebrate your positive emotions. 8, empathize. And then 9, make active listening your priority. So it kind of goes in like a good step from self-awareness, having motivation, having empathy, using your social skills, and self-regulation. So I think those things are super important. Is there any of those things that kind of stuck out to you that I said?
I want to say empathy. That brings me to remember that first question you asked, like what annoys you about other people? Remember I was saying how I don't like when other people are like not compassionate? I don't like when other people don't empathize with other people's feelings or situations. That really annoys the hell out of me. Because those will be the same people that be wanting you to sympathize with them. So, yeah.
Right. My big one was like try to practice mindfulness in all areas of your life. So I've learned a lot about being mindful, and I always use the word be mindful, because I think it is important that we first take that into consideration before anything. And I think it's just putting yourself before others, or just putting yourself in other people's shoes, which I think is really important in any relationship that you're in, is that you are being mindful of the other person. And then also just before you kind of blow up or whatever, like question your stories even if you believe them, which also is something that made me think like, yeah, before I jump to conclusions or before I jump down your throat, let me question what I say before, which is a struggle. Let me tell you, it's very hard for me. Very hard.
I'm gonna work on that, but yeah, it's a struggle for me too.
Right.
But yeah. What were the other ones though?
The first one is know thyself, and then be open to feedback and criticism.
Yeah. Open to feedback and criticism. That's what I struggle with the most. Cause I hate when somebody tell me about me. I'm like, how you gonna tell me about me? You don't even know me. But like now that I'm growing, I'm like, okay, they can tell you about you because they've been observing you, and so they're probably just trying to. Okay, let me stop right there. You can offer criticism to me, but it's the way that it's brought about. Like, I don't like when people are like, you need to do this, you need to do that, versus like saying, have you considered doing
this? It's like what
this?
You say is how you say it.
You should possibly do this. Exactly.
So some of the words, some of the things that came up in the article that I was reading, it says there's some questions that you should ask yourself, and it helps you be more have more emotional intelligence. So the key questions is: do you avoid talking about your feelings? Would you rather skip out on talking about your feelings? How good are you at making fine distinctions, such as realizing that you're more ashamed than embarrassed, or frustrated instead of angry? And the better you are at these distinctions, the more emotional intelligent your behavior will be. So what really stuck out to me when I was reading those questions is understanding, like the big one, understanding when you're embarrassed or when you're frustrated or when you're angry. Like knowing the difference between which emotions to react on, or even before you kind of go into feeling some type of way about certain things, basically. And I think these are very important, even especially in the workplace.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
So those things are huge. Huge questions.
I don't know. In the workplace, I'm not like so adamant about talking about my feelings to others because I don't care. Just, but like as far as like family and friends, I'm more adamant to talk about my feelings in front of them. Like I felt like, or because of the people that I'm investing my time and my energy and my space with, so I care more so about how we're perceived, like how a relationship ends up versus like workplace.
Do you think you can manage like negative emotions? Like how do you act when you're like upset or angry or frustrated?
In the workplace, I think I handle it pretty well. I would like, all right, go breathe, just deep sigh, like whatever. Romantic relationships, I think I'm getting way better at it. As far as friendships, I'm getting better. It depends on what friend it is, though, and what day of the week you catch me on. But sometimes I'm very closed off. So either I tell you how I feel straight up front, or I'm very closed off and I'll let it marinate for days at a time, and then about the time I see you again, I'm gonna just blow up. So I'm trying to find a happy medium between the two.
Okay.
Friendship wise, because if not, it's gonna be not a good thing.
Yeah. I think with my negative emotions, I think I do an okay job, but I can do better because they can kind of take over me, like to a point where it's all I'm thinking about. I can't sleep. It's something where I'm asking a million questions. I'm the type of person who grabs the phone and researches or Google stuff just to find out more information. I think I get so caught up in trying to know everything when sometimes I let those negative emotions like take over, and it takes me, I think it is something I need to work on for sure. I know I do. It's just a matter of knowing how to regulate those negative emotions into positives, and I think really taking those deep breaths and just breathing is probably the best technique. But I'm still in the process of, Michelle, you can't know everything, and you can't know it all, and you can't know why it happened. Like I'm the person who asks, I'm like a 2-year-old sometimes, like why this, why that, why this, why is this, why is that. And if you don't know why, then I'm going to look it up, and then if what I look up doesn't seem right, then I'm going to question that. So it sucks, but it's just how I am.
So basically you're a child.
I'm not a child. I just want to know everything. Kidding. I think it's just I need to be aware of my surroundings. I need to be aware of what's going on. I think I find myself rather wanting to know than not know. So I ask every single question you can think of. Like, I give advice for any females. Like, if you don't ask him the question, then you will never know. So I go into first dates, relationships, romantic relationships, going to the workplace for my interview. What is going on? How many people have quit? How many altercations do you have? Do you like this? Do you like that? Why is this? Why is that? And I think it's because I really don't like to get blindsided, and it might be some trauma that I have or something. And I've been blindsided before and I didn't like it, and it's probably because I didn't ask the questions that I needed to, and now I ask too many questions.
I guess you can never have too many questions, I guess. Because you can never have too much. Oh, yeah, you actually can't have too much, like, knowledge, but that's all.
Yeah, like, stop. Like, stop. You have to stop myself. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it at all. Just let it go. But in this article, it does say how you think about your feelings is like the first step in trying to be more emotionally intelligent. And it says that everyone agrees that people who can manage negative emotions are healthier and happier than those who can't. But it turns out that your ability to differentiate feelings is directly tied to whether you can manage those feelings. So I think it does take practice, but I think the first step is differentiating between how are you feeling in that moment? And that's asking those questions of how am I feeling right now? And being aware of your feelings being aware of your feelings every day. It's almost like you should wake up and kind of go to like an app or something and put like, how am I feeling right now? Like, almost like if you had those little balls. Remember those 8 balls or whatever? Well, 8 balls weren't telling you how you felt, or mood rings or something. It's like you need to ask those questions.
I had one of those balls.
Right. And it's funny because I even want Jeff to ask me how I'm feeling here and there. Like, I want those daily questions to be asked because it makes me feel like I need to know how I'm feeling every second of the, well, not every second, but every day, really. And I think it's important. That's the best way you know how to manage your emotions. So by knowing which emotion you have, right? Like, and knowing why you have that emotion. So I think it's a big one. The second thing in this article was, what is emotional clarity? So they talk about seeing the bigger picture. So what is emotional clarity? It's an enhanced or greater ability to identify, discriminate between, and understand the type of effect, such as anger versus frustration, and source of effect by one typically experiences. So basically what this is talking about is having emotional clarity is a specific kind of knowledge which takes in causes and effects and anticipates emotional responses. So for instance, realizing you were frustrated and not angry will lead you to apologize to the unwitting target of your hissy fit. So similar to how we talked about apologizing, Mariah, what it's saying is that we need to kind of find out realizing the difference between being frustrated and not angry, and then usually it leads to apologizing for your hissy fit, which is me all the time. Like apologizing for like throwing a tantrum, because that's what I do. Clearly I don't know how to control my emotions. This is bad.
You're not the only one. I'm definitely working on it too.
Right.
So.
Do you find yourself apologizing for the way you like acted, like you was acting up?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I said, I was like, I definitely welcome all apologies because I give them when they're definitely due. So yeah, I do find myself apologizing for stuff. I'm like, oh, I reacted way too soon. Mm-hmm. But I definitely didn't have to react that way. Mm-hmm. Oops, my bad. Let me go ahead and tell them I'm sorry versus just leaving it as is.
But it's important to distinguish your feelings with accuracy, and it will guide your behavior. So knowing exactly how you feel in that moment, either frustrated or angry, will help you start asking those questions to yourself first before you react. And then you end up, if you ask yourself those questions first and understand why you are angry or frustrated, then you won't react in like a childish way, basically like a hissy fit, or leading you to apologize to other people about your emotions. I find that to be something that's big, especially in the workplace, is because if you do react to emotions, then it could put you in a really tough place where, people are not going to be as transparent to what you're saying, basically. If you react all the time to emotions, especially like stress at work or working relationships, things like that.
I can see that being true.
And the third one is, am I a skilled emotional manager? So do negative emotions, and this is our next question, is do you tend to focus on the positives or negatives about people and everything? What about you, Mariah?
I think I'm more of a realist, so 50-50 of positive and negative. I definitely have been more negative in the past, but recently I've decided to add more positive thoughts into the mix, so now I feel like I'm doing both. I just like to be real about everything. Like, yes, it's going really great, but it can go bad real soon. So let me go ahead and save some money, because you just never know. I'd rather just save versus be. I'm not the kind of person that's like YOLO, we only live once. I'm more the person that's like, yeah, we only live once, but while I live, I want to live well. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna buy this top, but I'm also gonna save as well.
So you, well, kinda. I kind of get what you're saying.
Kinda. Okay, basically what I'm trying to say is, like, if I go to the store, right? Say I have $100, I go to the store, I go shopping. I'm like, I haven't went shopping in a while. Kind of want to splurge. Oh, I see this dress. This dress is $65. Okay, great. That means I'm gonna live $40 the entire week. So after I leave the store, okay, I just bought this for $65. Okay, I could go out to eat with this $40, or well, $35. I can go out to eat with this $35, or I could be smart, go pay for a meal, and for the next 2 days before I get my check, I can actually make a meal that would have cost the amount of, one meal at the store. I mean, at the restaurant or whatever. So instead of like splurging all my money, I splurge a little bit, treat myself, but then not overboard it, if that makes any sense.
So does that mean you focus on the what?
Realistic things. So basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because I'm like, what? Okay.
Ooh. You're like,
what? You focus on the positives of that or negatives? I have no idea.
Okay. I said realistic things. So yes, it's positive wise. I wanted to treat myself right by getting this dress, quote unquote. By getting this dress, I want to be positive. Like, oh, okay, I want to treat myself. But realistically, I'm like, okay, I have $35 left to live, or whatever, for the next day until I get my check. Hypothetically, right? So I could take this money, because we only live once, YOLO, right? I could take this money, say, hey, I get paid tomorrow anyways, so I could just go ahead and just splurge this money on this meal at this nice restaurant.
So you determine it to be a negative thing that you could are mainly that you could possibly be focusing on, because you're talking about like if you buy this dress, you said realistic. So
I feel like I'm being a realist because I'm trying to do both things. So instead of being super negative, like, you know what, I'm not going to go to that store because I ain't got, like, trying to, like, talk myself out of that I don't deserve a nice things or whatever the thing is.
Okay, so, like,
I'm going to get it, but I'm also going to manage my money effectively afterwards, if that makes any sense.
It makes a little sense, yes.
Gosh, I'm so sorry, y'all. I be trying to give stories. Let me just say that I'm just a realist, and I try to see both sides to every
both sides to
every
everything.
Coin.
Okay, so...
How about that, y'all? Let's take that, because I probably confuse everybody out there, and I do apologize. Let's go ahead and go to Michelle. What are you more focused on, girl? Positive or negatives?
I think I focus more on the positives. As I gotten older, I have focused more on positive things in my life. And it took me a lot to just... The reason why I focus more on the positives is because I'm a Christian. I do consider myself a spiritual person. So I try to focus more on the positives because I feel like God has a specific plan for me. So therefore, don't complain about it, pray about it, and try to stay as positive as possible. And also, I learned that I'm not going to focus on the negatives if it doesn't actually physically hurt me in any way. So that's another thing that I've learned, where it's like, if you're not physically hurting me, then I don't need to focus too much on the negative aspect. I do find myself pointing where I'm like trying to not think negative, and that's when I just go into prayer. So I think that helps me kind of get back on, like, all right, stay positive. You are here for a reason. You made it this far, and just focusing on what I do have compared to what I don't have. And then that's what puts me back to, just being a positive person. So I can't say I don't have my negative moments, but I do. But I always find a way to get back to realizing where I am and how far I've come, and focus more so on the positives, and knowing that things could be worse, and other people may have it worse than me, and I just need to be happy and be blessed in where I'm at, basically. So I do focus more on the positives. Okay. Yes.
Got it.
Perfect. Cool. So that was our last question, and the reason why we talked about these questions is because these are questions that depending on how you react to your emotions can determine a lot about your decision making. And it's important that we ask each other these questions and we constantly think about how we feel and how our emotions can affect our movement every single day. So we talked about being a man. In this article, it talks about managing your emotions. And it talks about negative emotions can slow you down or stop you in your tracks. So do they insinuate themselves into everything you do and think? Do you tend to internalize those feelings? And if so, the likelihood is that you're state oriented and not as good as managing your emotions as you need to be. On the other hand, if negative emotions are something you can cope with, not by brushing them off, but dealing with them in the day-to-day, the likelihood is that you're action-oriented. Coping skills are key to both achievement and satisfaction, and understanding how well you cope is critical. So that's why I have us asking these questions, and we talk about positive and negative emotions and how we internalize these feelings is a big way of how we can manage our emotions in the future. So I think coming up with a coping strategy, and it's funny because I talked about coping skills, and I figured just now talking about my positive and negatives is I found that my coping skill is prayer, and other people's coping skills may be something different, but I do think it's important if you really want to manage your emotions is that you kind of find a ground where when negative things do happen that you have some kind of coping skill to help you get back to, moving and taking action and being an action-oriented person.
Right.
What? So this is good. I mean, I didn't really know too much about emotional intelligence. Mariah, did you?
No, girl, I sure didn't. That's why I was excited to do this, because not really sure, but I've heard many things about it, so I was really cool to dive deeper after we took a test. And we're going to definitely link the test link so you can take your test and see what your results are. But after I got my results,
let's talk about that.
I'm happy actually.
So, Mariah, you're going to just talk about your results today because for some reason mine got lost in the sauce.
Why?
Mine got lost in the sauce, but I do remember mine. I do remember mine a little bit, but I want you to talk more about kind of what results you came out, what happened with your results.
You want me to talk about my results, y'all? Because you know how.
I mean, it did say I was emotionally intelligent. It said I was highly emotionally intelligent, but then
oh wow, that's
but then good. I was like, am I? I don't know. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, you got a better score than me, girl, because I didn't get highly emotionally intelligent. I got average. And basically, I will just read the results. It says you got average emotional intelligence with room to grow. You are likely to be sensitive to the emotional climate of the people around you. Friends, peers, family, and key clients are under pressure. You're aware of this. You are aware of the effect your behavior has on others. While you may be adept at tuning into others and their needs, you must remember your own needs. Don't be afraid to honestly communicate these difficult situations in your life and feelings. And things to consider. It tells me what to consider. What situations generally create pressure and stress for you? And are you handling these situations? What negative thoughts play over and over in your head on a regular basis? Are they the true picture of reality? And when are you triggered emotionally? What are some of your less effective default behaviors? If you can learn to be aware of when these emotions are driving your behaviors and staying calm in your high pressure moments, you will see a big increase in emotional intelligence, and it will lead to increased performance and more effective relationships at work and at home.
That's why we ask all these questions today, because people are like, why are we listening to them talk about their moods and their feelings and their emotions? And that's because these are the key things that you need to ask yourself to make sure that you kind of have these moods and under control so you can be more emotional intelligent. I know for sure for Snapchat convos today, Mariah, we didn't get as many as we wanted, but I did want to kind of end off on a note that I think we can all take away from and use that. Is that okay, Mariah? Or did you have one person? Did you have anybody? Okay.
No. No one actually.
Okay, perfect.
So go ahead.
And I think it's because emotional intelligence is not something people really know or aware of. So let's go ahead and end it. Oh, I don't want to end it off, but end it off what I do on a good note. So, what is emotional intelligence, and why were we sitting here and talk about all these questions and things like that? So, first is Moods affect each and every one of us. They impact how well we manage our emotions, as anyone can attest. Get to the office in a bad mood and just see how a minor irritant can escalate into a major drama. Unlike emotions, which have an identifiable source or cause, I'm happy because I got a raise, or I'm sad because I messed up my presentation. Moods are much more diffuse, harder to think about and to pinpoint. Becoming conscious of your moods and their effects on your actions and reactions is one way of honing your emotional intelligence skills. Engage in a quiet self-reflection and focus on what is causing you to feel the way you do. One thing is clear: the more emotionally intelligent we are, the more able we are to manage life's inevitable stresses and savor its pleasures. And that is my last note on emotional intelligence, because I felt like that paragraph, that note, really put me in a place where I think we all should start thinking about ways that we can be more conscious of our moods and our actions and reactions, and what ways that we can find some great coping skills. And self-reflection is huge when we are trying to be better at emotional intelligence, and that's just taking time to just reflect first before responding and reacting.
Agree. Like I said earlier, you can never control somebody's actions towards you. You can always control your reactions, though. So.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and go into Black Business of the Week. And the Black Business of the Week, I chose it's Lioness Beauty Hair Salon. It's in Harlem, and they have a beauty bar. And I always try to look for Black businesses for hair products for women, because I do feel like Black women, we need to own more of like the weave that we wear, our natural hair products, everything that we do, because we are the main consumers of the beauty supply stores, and we need to be the main ones making the money off of it. So I did want to shout out Lioness Beauty Hair Salon, because the more we see Black people owning businesses like that, the more we need to support them. But also, that's another topic that I think is for a different day, where we could talk about owning, investing, and really taking control over the money that we're spending. We're the main consumers in this industry, and I want to get get tips on how we can get there. And I do think that would be a great next topic. For sure.
Yeah.
Any last words, Mariah?
I don't have any last words actually this week. Oh yeah, congrats to Beyonce and Jay for their twins. But besides that, I have nothing to say.
Are you sad they're not showing them?
I am, but that's expected, right?
I mean, the way the internet went in on Blue, I wouldn't show my kids neither.
Yeah, I wouldn't show my kid either. Like, okay, yeah, y'all don't deserve to see my children. Moving on. Just like Lauren London never showed her son. She still hasn't showed her son, right? She doesn't plan on doing it either, and I wouldn't either.
This internet is undefeated and insecure, and they will drag you, and I don't like it. It's not okay.
And your children, like, that's not okay. That's a
bullies.
Baby. Like, that's an innocent
big
life.
Bullies out
there.
They
do nothing to you.
Exactly. Well, perfect. Well, congratulations to them and their twins, because that's a beautiful thing. Bringing life into this world is always a beautiful thing. I'm actually going to a baby shower on Saturday to celebrate life. It's always nice to celebrate life in all its great blessings and things like that. So,
absolutely.
Let me go ahead and end it off. So, thank you guys so much for listening to Melanin Voices. Remember that everything Mariah and I say is specifically our opinion, and we use as many sources and facts as we can to counter argument what we say. So, thank you for tuning in. Remember that if you want to be a guest star on our podcast, please let us know. You can follow us on Melanin Voices on YouTube, or subscribe to us on Melanin Voices on YouTube. Also, we have melaninvoices.com. We're on SoundCloud. We are Melanin Voices. So you look at Melanin Voices, you're going to see our pretty faces. We're gonna pop up. Yes. So support. Yeah, and tune in for next week.
Please, thank you.
All right, peace.
Bye, everyone.